know if the following dudes will go over or under their projected season totals on the DK Sportsbook, dudes. Reid, you're new here. Aaron Jones, 1050 and a half rushing yards. What do we think here? And we don't even know if this quarterback's going to be there.
Yeah, Emerson, I don't know what time it is. I feel like I have traveled everywhere and in between everywhere. But I believe Aaron Jones is still the running back of the Green Bay Packers, and Jamal Williams is no longer a Green Bay Packer. I like this over. I think any way you cut it, if Aaron Rodgers is still there or not, Aaron Jones is just one of these players, and you see what the Packers have done with this contract that they believe wholeheartedly in. I think he's closer to a guy like ALVIN than we expect, right? We've seen huge games out of Aaron Jones. And even last year when he didn't really do that well in terms of the yardage, he could have gotten a lot more. It was really the touchdowns that we saw him over or supersede or over project, right? The touchdowns that he had. But if you look at his last two seasons, his attempts per game, like the last three seasons, it's just under 14, but he's had some huge games in the past. So give me Aaron Jones over. I like this, even though it's over that 4-digit mark.
All right, Geoff, what do you think here, man? Because for me, I feel like it's going to be a little more active in the passing game, but now he's starting to share the rock a little bit with what? A.J. Dillon, Jamal Williams here?
Well, Jamal Williams not on the team anymore, so definitely not going to be sharing it with him. But A.J. Dillon is a good name to bring up.
You nailed it.
Because I am going to take the under here, and there's a couple reasons why. First of all, we have a player here who's only played 16 games once in his 4-year career. Aaron Jones, a little bit slight for a lead running back. He's very explosive. He's put up over 5.5 yards per carry in 3 of his 4 years. So there's no doubt he can get over this number. It's just the way he's been used a little bit more as the Packers is in the passing game. And I feel like with Jamal Williams leaving, his role in the pass game, you're going to see a little bit more ALVIN Kamara from Aaron Jones next year. And the reason why is I think that the Green Bay Packers have a true early down bruiser in A.J. Dillon. And I think you're going to see that early next year. I also am just wary of betting on any player like Aaron Jones to hit an over because, again, we have not seen the durability throughout his career. So this one for me, like the player, definitely could go over, but I'm going to take the under here just because there's too many factors that say, either A.J. Dillon comes in or the injuries kick in again and we just don't get there. So give me the under on Aaron Jones.
Okay. Chris Carson, Ulrich, 975 and a half rushing yards. Yep. Thoughts about this prop here, like over or under? What do you think?
I mean, this one is a pretty easy over for me. I'm not like a huge Chris Carson truther or anything, but like he's been pretty productive, especially last season. I mean, he had his best year in terms of just rushing the ball, in terms of efficiency, 4.8 yards per carry. Now, he only played 12 games, but the 2 years before that, 14, 15 games. And look, he hit the over so easily in those 14 and 15 game seasons that with the extra game, the 17th game here for Chris Carson, this total being under 1,000, it's actually a little disrespectful. The main thing with Chris Carson for me is look at this Seattle depth chart. I mean, you've got a guy in Rashad Penny coming back from a knee injury, probably not going to be used in the early down, probably going to be, mixed in gently. And then there's really no one. Carlos Hyde isn't back. This is the Chris Carson show. I really love the over here. This might actually be my favorite over of all the props we've talked about, just in terms of, everything so far. So give me the over on Chris Carson.
Reid, I'm looking at his carries per game here, though, sinking from 18 and a half in 2019 to under 12 in 2020. Is there some reason for concern here for you?
Yeah, I mean, if you take a look at last season, the Seattle Seahawks, the first half of it, they were very pass heavy, right? They were extremely pass heavy. And then you saw them kind of retrace into what the Schottenheimer offense was when he was there, right? Was run first. And they wanted to kind of protect Russell Wilson. But if you take a look, and I'm in agreement with Geoff here, this is an easy over for me. He's a clear-cut number one, even though they have a stable of 1,000 running backs. It's not Travis Homer. It's not any one of these guys who's going to do it. It's Chris Carson. I think, talking about fantasy football as well, I think he's vastly undervalued in this offense. To your point, to Geoff's point, if you take a look at those past seasons, he's had some huge games where he's rushed over 20 times, 20 attempts, over 100 yards easy. And you think with how this offense is going to play, and the only thing that scares me a little bit is this defense is not great like it was last year. I think a lot of people thought the defense got better in the second half. They just didn't play anybody of any sort of stature. That's the one thing that scares me, is that Seattle might have to pass more than they want to. But in 2018, his last 4 games of the season, he averaged 22 and a half attempts and hit the century mark 3 out of 4 times in those games. I know that was 2 years ago, but take a look at what he's done every single year. He is the clear-cut number one. This is an easy over.
AK, Alvin Kamara, 950.5 rushing yards here, Reid. I think the biggest question on a lot of people's mind, how will the retirement of Drew Brees impact this dude's production?
It's not the question. The scorching question isn't Jameis Winston. Is he going to throw for 20 interceptions or not? I don't know. This one's 50-50. Maybe Geoff has a better response to this with Alvin Kamara. Any rushing yard, I feel the same. I feel the way he feels about Aaron Jones with Alvin Kamara. And it's weird to say, right? Because Alvin Kamara is one of the best running backs in the NFL right now. But it's talent and it's rational coaching. How are they going to use Alvin Kamara this year? I would think that because their quarterback situation is a little up in the air, they would use him quite a bit. But Latavius Murray is still there, and I think he is a clear-cut guy who can be between the tackles. He's done it before. A.J. Dillon still not proven yet, even though we see what he can do when he gets the rock. I just don't know with Kamara. The only thing that the only reason that I would like to go over in this is that we've seen huge, massive ceiling games from Alvin Kamara where he gets 155 yards, 6 touchdowns. He has those games in him. It's just look what he did with Taysom Hill when Taysom Hill started those 4 games, right? He just didn't do anything. And we know Jameis, he is a turnover monster. And so do the Saints have to be playing catch up in those games? So I'm going to go under here.
Geoff, how cautious are you here when it comes to taking the over just because of so many unknowns on this offense?
Oh, yeah. No, I want nothing to do with the over in this one, quite frankly. I'm almost as confident in the under here as I was on the over for Chris Carson. I mean, this is a player in Alvin Kamara. He's never taken 200 carries in his career. He's never rushed for over 950 yards in his career. Some of these things might actually sound a little bit surprising to people, but this is a player who's been primarily used as a receiver. Now, look, his yards per carry average is great. He's an efficient runner. Like Reid said, he's capable of those explosive games. We had one 100-yard rushing game last year, and it came, in the final game of the year. And Reid mentioned it right off the top. This is why I really am not interested in this. Taysom Hill, I think, has a very good shot to start a lot of games for the Saints. And, we saw when Taysom Hill was in there, it was Taysom Hill running the ball. Alvin Kamara failed to break, 60 yards in most of those games. It's just not a quarterback that I would want connected with Alvin Kamara for his rushing totals, quite frankly. So great player, but probably going to still be used more as a pass catcher. And quite frankly, I think this whole Saints offense could take a step back, which again, there's just nothing here for me that gets me super bullish on Alvin Kamara. Also a player I'm a little bit wary of for fantasy. So this one's an under for me.
Yeah. Speaking of that last one here in this segment, guys, Damien Harris, considered a sleeper maybe coming into the season for the Patriots, but when we're talking sportsbook, over under 800.5 rushing yards. How do you feel about this one, Geoff?
Yeah, this is definitely one I would be interested in the over here. I really feel like Damien Harris is in a spot where, a 1,000-yard season here is something to consider. Now, the only thing that really is in his way, I think, is the depth chart. But, Sony Michel preseason, I think we saw last year that Damien Harris is the more superior runner. And I think the Patriots at this point in year 3 of Damien Harris realize this as well. And regardless of what they do with Sony Michel, I think that Damien Harris is going to get the carries. Look, this is a player put up 691 yards in 10 games started last year. And it's not like he was taking a ton of carries in those games. He averaged 5 yards per carry. If you watch the Patriots and Damien Harris rush the ball, and I know a lot of people probably didn't see a lot of them last year, you saw a very efficient runner, a guy who's capable of big plays as well. Yeah, this total is really juicy for the over, in my opinion. I think this is a player who is durable. He was durable at Alabama, and I think he's the superior runner on the Patriots. I think he's going to get his shot. I think you could see him hit this over by week 12 this year.
That over looking pretty juicy to you, Reid.
Not really. I'll give the other side of it because I agree. Damien Harris could be a sleeper, and the stats that Geoff laid out are nice. But look, it's 47 yards per game if he starts every single game, right? That's not a ton of yards. But we know this is Bill Belichick. This is the Patriots offense, and a lot of things are different over the previous 20 years to the next, right? The next 5 or 10. But when you talk about running back anything with the Patriots, it scares me. You just have to take a pause. Damien Harris had his chance when Sony Michel got hurt last year, right? And he didn't really he is clear cut, most talented back right now on that team in that position, but he didn't really do much to be like, oh yeah, this is going to be a smash spot for Damien Harris. He went over 16 touches only twice last season, right? So to Geoff's point, like, yes, his yards per carry were great, but we just don't know what Bill Belichick's going to do. I would say, though, 800.5 is not that much, right? Over a 17-game season, that could easily be hit, like Geoff mentioned, but it's the Patriots, it's Bill Belichick, it's a running back, so I'm a little scared.
Yeah, but considering, like, if Cam Newton's under center, you got to figure this team is just going to remain a run-heavy offense, right?
Yeah, exactly. And again, right, the two tight end set, like, we haven't seen what the Patriots now with what Bill Belichick has wanted to do over the last decade is get the two tight end set, play strong defense, and run the ball, right? That's what he wants to do, control the ball. And if that's the case, and it is Damien Harris, then yeah. But again, we've seen this time and time again where we project and we know rational coaching says that he is the best back. But Bill Belichick, what makes him great is he takes that and he switches. And on top of that, the Patriots did draft a running back in Stevenson in the 4th round, right? That's where the Bill Belichick gets the guys that he wants to play, is in those mid rounds. And so that's the other thing that scares me too, is if you were so confident in Harris, why draft a guy like Stevenson if you weren't going to use a RBBC on some level?
Yep.